Hi everyone, welcome to the Charlene Show, a show where we talk about taboos, social, cultural, lifestyle and human interest stories. My name is Charlene, your host. And we are doing a 16-day special where we are inviting different men and women who are experts, survivors, or who work in the area around 16 days of who work in the area around gender-based violence. Today I'm joined by Fungai Gwiriri, who is the founder and director of Zoe Counseling and Training Center Trust, and as well as a theologian and family therapist. Fungai, how are you?
I'm good, Sheldon. How are you?
I'm great. It's good to have you on the show.
Very true. I'm also grateful to be invited.
No, that's great. So I guess as your work as Zoe Counseling and also as a theologian, maybe you can tell us what is gender-based violence.
Okay. So when you're talking about gender-based violence, we are talking about the violence that occurs just because of someone's gender or someone's sex. So people have got a tendency to say, I think also with even our culture as Africans, we have got a tendency to say a man has got authority or he has got power over a woman. And this causes and creates what we call gender-based violence, now taking advantage of your sex. Yeah.
And then, so what's the difference between gender-based violence and domestic violence?
Okay, so when we're talking about domestic violence, here we are talking about violence which is occurring within a household or a family system. But generally, when we're talking about gender-based violence, we are going out of the family system. Yeah. So there's a thin line which is there in terms of difference. But if you just look at it and say, okay, domestic violence is happening within the family system or between a husband and a wife, between parents and kids. It's within a family system.
I like that you talk about the family unit, the family system. Now we find that a lot of domestic violence happens within the family system. It's usually not between strangers. Yeah. So what are some of the myths that have helped to perpetuate gender-based violence and domestic violence?
Yeah, it's okay. So there's quite a lot which has been happening. And normally men are defined as macho, that they are powerful. Men are defined as people who are, they control women, yet it's not very true. So if you grow, like as a child, if you grow up being taught that way, in one way or another, you believe that it is true that I'm macho and I have to show my woman or the other gender that I'm someone else. Yeah. And also, there's this show now saying that says "Chakafukitsa Dzimba Matenga," but I don't think it's very true. Most women, including men and children, they are suffering just because to say "Chakafukitsa Dzimba Matenga," people must not know what is happening and transpiring within my family system, or no, and yet that's not very true.
Yes. So now, do abusers show any potential signs?
Definitely.
And what are these signs?
To look out for? Normally I call these red flags. That as you grow and as you sit and as you stay within your family, or in your workplace or at school, these red flags time and again they appear. And you see it by the way someone controls you. There's someone who always wants to control you. Because from Zoe Counseling and Training Center Trust, mostly we deal with teenagers from 10 to 24 years. And I have always been telling them that, if you see your guy, he's always so much in you, doesn't give you time to breathe. As a girl, who have you been communicating to? Who have you been? These are red flags. They're telling you that even if you get in the home, it's gonna be very difficult. But we have got women. Rulo, pane ma boundaries. Love, you can see it. But when it comes to controlling, when it comes to be like you're becoming very jealousy, these are red flags. Even when someone says, I don't want to see you communicating with 1, 2, 3, 4, these are red signs, flags to say, my guy, I think we are going to have some challenges here.
Yeah, and I'm sure many a times we see these red flags, but then we ignore them. Why do we stay with abusers, or why do we remove ourselves from the abusers but then return to them?
You know, normally we have got a mentality that I will change him, or I will change her, or definitely he will change. So people have got that perception to say, okay, I'll pray for him, you know, like, okay, I think this is happening because mkomana wangu, because I don't need that, and whatever. But one thing that you need to understand is an abuser doesn't change, because this is a decision that a person makes in life. So until and unless he decides to change. But we have always seen people, this is because when you talk about domestic violence, we're talking about a cycle, a vicious cycle, which is happening. Today, things get nasty, and you begin to see that things are picking up, and at the end of the day, we might not be in good books together. Then later, it's heated up, you are bashed. Then at the end of the day, the abuser would say, oh, I'm sorry, I was not supposed to beat my wife, I was not supposed to beat my kids, and so forth. Then he comes back, buys a present for you, comes and beg you. It can even kneel to say, I'm sorry, my wife, I will not do it again. I'm sorry, my girlfriend, I will not do it again. Then you think that it's over. Time again, 2-3 months down the line, the cycle starts again. Yeah, so abusers, normally, they don't change easily.
Okay, so in this instance, you're talking about a man abusing a woman. Are men also victims of gender-based violence, domestic violence? Are they victims?
Very much. I believe so. It's only that, you know, with our African culture, men, they don't want to open up and say this is what is happening. But, well, from my pastoral experiences, I've always been in homes whereby we are called in midnight and say, you can hear the men saying, you know, I think you need to talk to my wife. And I've always heard men coming for counseling, and they're saying, well, I don't know, is it because I'm a Christian? Is it because I'm very soft? You know, this is what is happening within my family. And definitely men, it's only that it's not documented. It's only that they are not coming out in the open. And especially now with the emergence of COVID-19, the lockdown and everything. And I think this presentation is coming at the right time, because this year and the past year, we have been experiencing quite a lot in terms of domestic violence.
Oh yes, we have. We have. So what can society do? What can we do as a society?
There is so much. There's so much that we can do. Unfortunately, you know, because of being individualistic, and because we are no longer living like in our African culture, whereby we would stay in what we can, in brackets, call extended family. I know in the past we didn't have an extended family, but we were a family. And this system has crumbled, and we no longer have it. So people are just living as individuals. Hence, if I see that at your house there's domestic violence that is happening, I'll just say, well, it's for my neighbors, and I don't need to be involved. So people don't want to be involved, and I would say, and I would encourage people to get involved. And we need, I think, as organizations and as individuals, we need to go out and give information to people out there, to say what is domestic violence, so that they know, that they have information. Because one thing that I have seen happening is that abusers, they don't want the victims to have information, because they know the moment they have information, they will go out, run and get help. So we need to be there. We need to report. If you hear that this is happening in my neighborhood, just make a report to the police, to the victim friend unity, or call any other organizations that are working for and supporting victims of domestic violence.
Okay. Yes, I was about to go there. So here we are. You are talking about support for victims of domestic violence. Is there any support that is being offered for perpetrators of domestic violence?
Definitely, support is there, but unfortunately, not most people are willing. Even if we are talking about the majority of women who are suffering from domestic violence, they are not willing to go out into the open and say, and visit Zoe Counseling and Training Center Trust, visit Msasa, visit another organization, visit the police to say, this is happening within my family. So I think we need to start there, that we build some self-esteem, that people would have the confidence to say, I will go out and seek help.
Okay, and do you have any recommendations to the government of Zimbabwe with regards to this cancer?
Well, yeah, I think if we're talking about the past 2 years, this is really a pandemic in terms of domestic violence. And I think one thing that I would want to put across and recommend is that I think we really need to have policies that are effective and laws that are harsh in terms of perpetrators, because I think in one way or another our sentences, I think they are quite kind of lenient, that people are not deterred in terms of, and also one thing that I have discovered is that whenever a report has to be made, I think the people who are in positions of authority and who are supposed to take this, they have to make sure that they act on the reports that they are given. Because it's of no use to say, when I come to make a report to the police, then at the end of the day, I see the perpetrator coming back home again with me, and because he has given a bribe to the police officer and so forth. So we really need to make sure that all these processes we adhere to.
Oh yes, thank you. You raise a very good point there. Yes, that you report a perpetrator and that same person takes you back home. Yeah. Yes, something really needs to be done about that. And I guess lastly, do you have any advice to men and women who are victims of gender-based violence?
Definitely. You know what? Physical violence. What I normally say and tell the clients that I deal with is, whenever you encounter a physical violence, whenever you encounter physical violence, don't stay and say, he will change, she will change. I think it's the most important thing that I would want to put across is always make sure that you are on the safe side. So if it means moving out, move out quickly. Because one thing that I've seen is all these stories that we're hearing, he has been murdered, she has been murdered, they killed the kids, or they have poisoned food and the whole family has perished. It's because of people who are saying, I think things will change, I think things will improve. So my advice today is, whenever you are going through physical violence, emotional violence, psychological violence, make sure that you are safe by moving out from the perpetrator.
So thank you, Fungai. So this is Fungai, the director of Zoe Counseling and Training Center Trust, talking to us about gender-based violence. The advice that you have given us is very true, and yes, the problem that you want someone to change is what has led some of our sisters and brothers in the grave. So thank you so much. Until next time, goodbye.